So today I thought I'd do another video, but I'm not going to script this one because it'll take away the authenticity. Today is the 4th of July, our great National Independence Day. And I just found out recently from YouTube that Loomer, a notable far-right activist and close confidant of Donald Trump, tweeted twice that immigrants should be eaten by alligators. Now, for context, here are the two specific tweets in question. Snoop's archived them, so if you don't believe me, you can go and look them up on the archive. So here's one right here. Says Laura Loomer with the check mark, and then it says in plain English, alligator Alcatraz, feeding illegals to the gators. We need more of this energy. It's almost like a haiku, really, but I don't think the symbols are correct. But yeah, this is scary. And this wasn't even the tweet that the YouTuber showed on his channel. I guess because saying illegals just makes it okay to feed them to gators. He went for another post. And the other post is more disturbing in a way. It says, alligator lives matter. The good news is alligators are guaranteed at least 65 million meals if we get started now. Now, for those of you who aren't in the loop, 65 million is the number of Hispanics in the country. This is no doubt calling for genocide. We have a person with connections to the highest offices of power outright calling for genocide on Twitter, on the most public platform that you can do it on. So, I guess maybe you can say that this had it coming, but it's official. America has fallen. America is not America anymore. Now, if you've watched my videos previously, you would know that I admitted to voting for Trump. And I did so specifically because of a belief that he would harden our grid against EMP attacks. Kind of silly, but at that point, I knew he was a bad dude, right? But I also thought that Kamala was, like, just as bad and also incompetent, right? Bland, boring, spineless. Like, even if she had good policies, she wouldn't really advocate for them because she was too spineless to do so. That probably wasn't true. But I would say that the reason that I was kept out of not believing the worst things about Trump, the worst things that this could happen, is because for my entire life, up until recently, I grew up in an incredibly diverse middle-class neighborhood in the Deep South. I lived in a suburb in the outskirts of Atlanta, and I went to school and I played with Black and Hispanic kids, and to me, it was just normal. Racial integration wasn't really a thing that needed to be achieved. To me, it just was. And I didn't understand that, like other parts of the country, most parts of the country had this sort of de facto segregation. I didn't understand that. That was just a foreign concept to me. To me, racism was something that was dealt with back in like the 60s, and that since then America has recovered from its disease of racism and things of that nature. I never once imagined that like fascism could actually be real in America. I always thought that there were forces that would stop this decline that we're seeing now. Maybe there's hope, but it doesn't look so much like it. I basically have stopped believing that there are like some forces out there, these institutional forces out there that would come and rescue us in the last minute if we needed it. There is none. There is none. Not really. I think recently, actually, the Supreme Court. Hold on, let me check. Okay. Did the Supreme Court make it legal to deport citizens to foreign countries? I didn't do any research before I did this video because I wanted to do it off the top of my head. Okay, so here's the AI overview. Take it what you will. No, the Supreme Court has not made it legal to deport U.S. citizens to foreign countries. However, the court has recently allowed the Trump administration to deport some migrants. Okay, some. So that's kind of positive. There's at least some lid on this. To third world countries, or third countries, but we all know it's third world countries, meaning countries other than their country of origin, without the same level of due process previously required. Wonderful. But they haven't gone after U.S. citizens, at least yet, so good. But as far as I'm concerned, that's what they're going to do next. So, Hispanics, arm yourselves. Earlier this morning, I watched a YouTube video from T.J. Kirk, formerly known as the Amazing Atheist, now known as Frey, the Chaos Wizard. And basically, as part of his Chaos Wizard shtick, he basically said that beliefs don't matter, or rather, solid beliefs don't matter. Rather, it's more advantageous for you to just keep shifting your beliefs all the time. And when someone inevitably pointed this out, like, hey, isn't that what corrupt politicians and grifters do? Should we have principles on this? He kind of circumnavigated that by saying, like, it doesn't matter. They're effective. And then he said later in the video that the Republicans, they just lie to people's faces. And they get away with it by denying truth, by denying reality. And then they keep on gaining power. But here's the thing. His solution to that is to basically become like them. You know, if they're lying, you start lying. You know, if they're distorting facts, you distort the facts. But the thing is that, historically speaking, that's not the case. With the abolitionists, they did not need to lie about slavery because the facts were on their side. It was the slave owners that needed to lie, that needed to distort the truth about slavery, because they were justifying evil because the facts of the matter were not on their side, because if they admitted to the facts of what slavery was actually like, they would have had to free their slaves. Same thing here. Trump and all his MAGA people, they don't care about truth because the truth is not on their side. They have to lie because if they admit to the truth of the tenets of their position, they would be failed. They would be revealed as the moral monsters that they are. And quite frankly, probably at this point, they don't care because their morality is just so skewed from what is commonly known as civilized behavior by most normal people. And I guess I'm normal. My upbringing is what I consider to be normal. They don't care. Their ideas of what civilized society is not ours. The barbarians are inside the gates, is what I'm saying. The idea of there's the barbarians outside the gates and there's no barbarians inside no, the barbarians are inside the gates. That's what I've come to realize about this country. The barbarians are in the gates, and the barbarians have been here for quite a while now. And recently they've gained power. I did not know this because I didn't live with barbarians. The barbarians lived in other parts of the country, but I assume not many of them lived in Atlanta, near where I live. People voted for Trump, sure, but I'm pretty sure they're regretting it now. At least if they actually know what's going on, because they didn't vote for Trump because they blindly hated illegals or whatever. These people voted for Trump because they thought that he was a standout politician and that he was against, like, the establishment or whatever, some stupid shit. Conspiracies, on top of that, things like that. They don't want to see illegals chomped by alligators. That's not what they wanted. Other people, though, in other parts of the country, and not to say that there weren't some of those people where I lived, but there were few and far between. Because if you're racist and you live in Atlanta, you're not going to have a fun time. They would have moved out a long time ago. But these people who are like, the alligators need to eat the Hispanics, the illegals. Those are the barbarians. And I never noticed that they were part of this country. And they've made up this country for a long time. And perhaps some people have known all along, and they were right, that we just had all these barbarians. But I'm saying this to you now. The abolitionists did not need to lie. They had truth on their side. You do not need to lie. What you need to do is fight. There are barbarians inside the gates. You need to arm yourselves. You need to organize. You need to know your rights. You need to be able to use the court systems. And yes, you need to be able to play the game in terms of, like, politics and appealing to people and doing spin and strategy and whatnot. But you don't need to lie. You just need to fight back. And I know that the left has been doing this for some time, but shit is really hitting the fan now. Once they start openly calling for genocide, it's nothing but downhill from there. I mean, it's already been downhill, but at this point, I feel like this is like, it's declining, and now after this is a steep drop. Okay, a steep vertical drop down into a spike and flame-filled pit. That's where we're headed next, people. You need to be prepared, okay? It's gonna get nasty. And I'm sorry for such a long and depressing video, but I figured I better post something about this, because when history comes, they're gonna ask me, well, what did you do at the time? Well, this is what I did. This video. And hopefully more things. Thanks for watching.